Good morning. Today is Monday, March 14th, 2022. The time is 9:03 a.m. I'm calling this regular term meeting of the B County Commissioners Court to order. We are physically located at B County Courthouse, Commissioners Courtroom, number 110, 105 West Corpus Christi Street, Beeville, Texas, 78102. That was the call to order. If everyone would please rise and join Mr. McGregor in a brief prayer. Thank you, sir.
All right, yes. Let's pray. Our gracious and loving Father in heaven, we ask for the blessing of your presence on the proceedings of this court. Truly, this significant activity touches the lives of our great county citizens and their precious families. We pause to thank you for the boundless goodness and grace that you've showered upon us as a people. Our heritage is rich because of your many blessings. Therefore, we praise you. As we come to you in prayer, we ask for your forgiveness for violating your holy laws and for failing to love you and love one another as you have commanded us. Make us a people ready to serve you in all that we do. We thank you for those who you've raised up from this community to lead, guide, and represent us. You have blessed us with the members of this court. We pause to ask you to grant them the strength, the wisdom, and the courage to make right decisions. May each be ready to give an account for the decisions made. Be present as we meet. Grant them sound decisions, we pray. We also pause to ask you to guard, guide, and protect our responders, first responders, and those charged with our community's safety and security. As they patrol our streets and respond to incidents and accidents and fires, may each experience a special measure of your presence, your protection, and your abiding grace. You have blessed us with so many who provide great care and protection. Lastly, we pray that you will tenderly care for those of our citizens who struggle and suffer in mind, body, or in spirit. May you, the great physician, bring them your healing and strength. We also ask you to salve the hearts of those who mourn. Grant them your abiding presence, comfort, and peace. Make us a community that desires to do your will in all that we do. Lord, let B County flourish by the preaching of your word and the praising of your name. Help each of us to look ahead to that grand and glorious day when you shall return. The dead shall be raised, loved ones shall be rejoined once again, and all wars shall cease. O God, speed the day of your coming. Indeed, yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you all. Welcome. Yes. This is we're at agenda item number 4, which is to recognize the visitors in the audience today. Thank you all for being here. If there's anybody that would like to identify themselves, not make a public comment, but just stand up and say, this is who I am and I'm here, and thank you for thank you for being here. Now is the opportunity. If there's nobody that individually wants to stand up and do that, again, thank you all for being here, and please come back. Moving on to agenda item number 5, Commissioner's Court opening remarks. I'm really thrown off by not having Commissioner Haggard here, so I guess you go first, Commissioner Lenny.
It actually is this turn, isn't it?
I think so, but I'm a little...
Actually, it's been pretty quiet the last couple of weeks. Took care of some road issues out in Blueberry Hill. Of course, the trash issues, which that never ceases to stop. Other than that, just making a few phone calls. I had some people calling me on some issues I took care of, and then directed a few people to city council members to take care of some other things. And that's really about all that's been going on.
Thank you, Commissioner. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Couple of things, and then we have probably a moment of silence in a minute, but I'd like to talk about the wind and solar farms first. I have repeatedly said there's going to be thousands of solar panels at the solar farms. We had a local news team in the area last week and called the company, and it turns out it's 1 million solar panels. 1 million solar panels are going in north of Mineral, in those solar farms on the right and left. The wind farm should be operational May 1st. The solar farm should be operational late fall or early winter, which is good news for B County because they will then be on the tax rolls when they assess taxes in January. So we should receive our first tax payment the next tax year, which would be, October, November. So that's a good thing. Something else, I'm on the P3, the electrical committee, representing B County. This is who we buy our electricity from. We had a conference call this last week. They're going out for a new contract soon. The current contract expired January of 2023. Prices are up. The conflict is increased the prices, but just to let everybody know that that contract is coming up. Then, Judge, if you give me some latitude, I'd like to read something that I received.
Please, go ahead.
This is sad news, and I'll read this directly as it came to me. It came from Normanna Fire Department. It is with heavy heart that we announce the passing of our president and former fire chief, Sam McCoy. Normanna and B County has lost an honorable and dedicated community member, firefighter, and first responder. Please keep his family in your thoughts and prayers. I couldn't have said it better. And Judge, with your permission, I'd like to ask everyone to have a moment of silence to remember Sam McCoy. He was a great guy, put his heart and soul into it, did a great job up there. So if we could have a moment of silence, sir, if you let me know when it's.
Gladly, we'll start now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great.
Thank you, sir. That concludes my remarks, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Pettis?
Well, Judge, since last Commissioners Court meeting, I think we started a meeting right after the meeting. Judge and I had a meeting with AEP on a new transmission line that's coming into B County. So we went over a few details there, and there'll be more to come. And I think they mentioned that there was a second big transmission line coming from the Woodsboro Refugio area heading this way. So there's more power to be in the substation that they got in the plant. The second, I have a public hearing later on in the agenda today. And then we had a special call meeting at BDA. I'm the representative for the court there. Two new companies looking at BDA to get in one of the hangars out there. So those look very promising. And again, I can't disclose what they are. I think the judge is already aware of what's going on out there. Third thing, I had Commissioner Haggard invited me to join him on a Zoom meeting for the County Road 621, where they're going to repave it and refix it. So we had about a half-hour Zoom meeting with him, and Commissioner asked me to get on that so we can get all the details right for that road. Working on an interlocal agreement with BDA and B County for the lift station out there. We're still in the steps. You know, I thought this was going to go faster, but there's so many steps to this thing, it's just taking a while. I have a meeting with Mercer Engineers, which was chosen for the draft and design for the EOC building this week on Thursday. And have a DAB meeting with Randy Sykes tomorrow, with another company who's trying to come in, and he's asked for my help on that. So I got that, and that concludes my
Thank you.
work week.
Yeah, thank you. I'm still taking notes on it.
I have one more thing if I could, Judge.
Yeah, like, pass it back, Commissioner.
Many of you have seen the sign AEP that's up out here behind Mayfab on some property. Many, many years ago, it's my understanding AEP bought that property, I'm guessing 20, 30, 40 acres, to put in a solar farm. So that probably is what's going in, and that may be part of why those transmission lines are coming in to support that. I don't know, but that's what I understand several years ago. They bought the property, maybe they're just now starting to develop it.
I heard that it's going to be like a Skidmore where they house all the equipment and stuff.
I think it's going to be a substation.
Yes.
But yeah, it's good growth. Thank you for those reports, everybody. I took some time off last week, so I don't really have much to report. except Cameron County is a wonderful county in the state of Texas, and I appreciate their hospitality. Moving on, agenda item number 6, public comment. Is there any member of the public who wishes to address Commissioners Court? Now is the opportunity. Moving on, agenda item number 7, the following items are of an administrative nature. Commissioners Court has been furnished documentation on each item, and all such items may be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a commissioner or county judge.
Move to approve the comment.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. Commissioner DeWitt, you may proceed with your comment.
Madam Auditor, further down in the items, it's on the budget amendment request, oil and gas royalties, a little over $34,000. How does that come in, and does it come to B County, or do we divide it back up to the school districts?
That's permanent school fund.
Yes, ma'am.
Annually, I set that budget, and 34 is an estimate of revenue of what had come in at the time that I set that. At year end, I put in our school districts into my little spreadsheet, and I go to the TEA website and get their attendance, and it's weighted against how much money there is in the school fund minus, I think this year I took out $9,000 for incidentals, and that's what I do annually.
Okay.
And I divide it.
And this is on, minerals that we own in another county, Sutton
In
County.
Sutton County.
Sutton County, that's what I was thinking. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. That answered my question. Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on, discuss and consider action on the following items. I'm going to move agenda item number 18 to next, I guess I should say, to the top of the list. For my list, it starts at 8. So I'm going to call agenda item number 18 at this time. Approved request to determine upkeep responsibility of pauper's burial plot located in the Glenwood Cemetery. We have Ms. Donna Richmond here this morning from the Cemetery Association to communicate with Commissioners Court about this. Ms. Richmond, thank you for being here this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, sir.
Ma'am.
I appreciate it, Judge Morrow, Commissioners. I'm here today to talk to you about that whole area, in fact. So I live in that neighborhood, so it's of great concern to me for that reason. The Glenwood, I'll speak first to the Glenwood Cemetery. I found it to be very unkept, untidy, overgrown with weeds, let go, for lack of better words. My significant other and I started trying to clean it up, but it's 5,000 graves and a lot of acres. I couldn't tell you how many acres. And we quickly realized that it was a task that was beyond us. So I loosely formed a group called Friends of Glenwood Cemetery and used social media, as we sometimes do, to elicit help to get that area cleaned up. I'm working with my county, or my city councilman, Mike Willow, who's helped me quite a bit, but also the neighbors and anyone that will come and help us. And we've had 2 work days now. We're about to have our third this Friday. The first work day, we took 18 40-gallon trash bags of just pure trash, some of it even household garbage, out of one small area the size of this room out of Glenwood Cemetery. I firmly believe that the upkeeptness of that cemetery is what is the break in the window that allows the criminal element that also abides there. There's graffiti, there's drug deals in my neighborhood on a daily basis going on in the cemetery. One person does it daily and actually makes an offensive sign to me when I walk through the cemetery. That I don't want that in my neighborhood. But again, the unkept nature of that area says, come on in and do bad things. I also care about the people that are buried there, although no one buried there is my family. Some of them the family has lineaged out. Some of the family buried them, moved on to New York, and there's no one there to care for it. So I care deeply about getting the cemetery cleaned up, and we have diligently worked from 4 feet weeds in the original section, which, by the way, if you don't know, was deeded in 1901, and the first burial was Mary Eads in 1901. I love history too, by the way. We've worked really hard to get that section cleaned up. We've got it mowed down, knocked down, and we've been weed eating sections at a time. Not to go on and on, but there's ant hills that are 4 feet deep and cover anywhere from 5 to 10 burials under them. We, on any given workday, will uncover, literally unearth 20 plus stones. That's history that's getting buried. I come come to you today for some help. In 1903, a section of Glenwood Cemetery that sits adjacent to the original historic section was deeded to the county for the burial of paupers. It's called Potter's Field, in the record, it's called Potter's Field for Pauper Burial. And it is also very unkept, weeds up to 4 feet high. Veterans buried down in there that are in that squalor. Some families go and they do clean up their little area. Unfortunately, they pile up what they cut back on the graves of the people that we're cleaning up in the original section of Glenwood Cemetery. I just come to you today for 2 kinds of help. I'd appreciate it as elected officials here in town and people that have a significant impact in the community to join my effort, if in nothing else, to ask your constituents to please come and help when we have the cleanup days, to like our Facebook page and follow us so you know when those are. I'd invite any of you to come and work with us, or even just come for a little while and see what we do. Last Saturday, not the one that just passed, the Saturday before, there were 47 volunteers that showed up to work in the cemetery. It's a moving effort, it's a growing effort, and it's a noble effort and commendable. And I'd really love for any one of you to be a part of that. But the second thing I'd like to ask is if you would work with us to get that section that is the Pauper Cemetery cleaned up and mowed, and maybe have it kept at some kind of level of cleanup. There's probably 1,000 rats down in there. We went down in there and we were gonna go ahead and clean it up, but you can understand if we're trying to clean up Glenwood, that's 5,000 plus stones and I don't know how many acres. We really need help to get that section cleaned up, and I come to you today respectfully asking if you could work with the Friends of Glenwood Cemetery and get that section of that area cleaned up for us.
May I ask you a question?
Sure, I'll try to answer.
I was thinking that the Pauper Cemetery was on the far east side. Is that not correct?
I'm not good with east and west, so it lies
On the
between
far-
the original section, which is, if you go into Glenwood, all the way, I'm gonna say different, back behind St. Joseph's Catholic Cemetery, behind that dirt berm, that's the original section, and it sits, if you're looking at the berm, it sits to the right.
Okay, as you go,
And so between St. Rose and the original
as
section.
you go in the last gate, I was thinking the Pauper Cemetery was on the right-hand side of the last gate. Is that not correct?
That is still Catholic Cemetery and St. Rose Cemetery.
Okay, so I've been
It's
mistaken
further
for a
back.
long time, because evidently then the area that's all by itself that has weeds about this high is the Pauper Cemetery?
That's Pauper.
Okay.
That's Potter's
I'm
Field
oriented
for
now.
pauper burials, as it's put in the
And
deed.
the reason I say that, I was contacted by Mr. Galloway not too long ago about that. And he said the city was willing to send a crew in if the county would. And I said, well, let me get with the maintenance specialist here. And I did. And they were supposed to get together, the city and the county were gonna work on it. Now, and I went by there a few days ago. It could be they weren't sure where it was either. Because I think they cleaned up on the far side, which is where I thought the Pauper Cemetery was. But I know exactly where you're talking about.
Right, and I don't think that anyone cleaned up in that area, because that area is super clean, that's St. Rose, and those people really, and the
Well-
Catholic, they have a beautiful association.
And that's what I
that keeps
noticed
things
today,
clean.
that-
I love it.
I couldn't understand why it was, they
It
said
is
it needed attention, but it looked good.
It is gorgeous, but we're talking about on further back behind the Catholic.
I know where it
cemetery.
is now, because it's the only place
Yeah.
that's a square.
Yeah,
And,
Yeah.
yes,
yeah, it's this high.
yes, ma'am.
And I go down in there to find graves, and my significant other tells me, get out of there, because I'm just trying to clean up little areas, but it's beyond me, and it's beyond him at this point, or it always was. And the only way, I woke up the first big Saturday cleanup, and I sat drinking my coffee, and I said, you know what, Donna, this is too big. You've taken on something that's too big, you can't do this. This is momentous, and you can't do it. And I had to calm myself with another drink of coffee and say, the momentous task here, the overwhelming maybe task here, is to get people to believe in what you're doing, to reach out to those that can help you do what you're doing, and to come together to do what it is I want to do in that cemetery. It's not about me and what I want to do. It's what's best for our community, our neighborhood, and our city. I don't know if any of y'all follow me on, Commissioner Lenny follows me on Facebook, but my hashtag is Be the Change, B-E-E. In other words, don't you be the the change first. You set the example for those kids that are coming, show them the pride, show them the history, show them that you can make a difference, and then it blossoms and grows. And that's what I'm here for, is to reach out to my resources, to be the change, but to ask you to be with me to be that change.
Well, Ms. Richmond, to begin with, thank you for all that you're doing for the community. We really appreciate it. And as far as our grounds and our facilities, kind of like Commissioner DeWitt said, we're more than interested in definitely not letting it be the lone dark spot in an otherwise great renaissance at the Glenwood Cemetery area, which is made up right of 3 different cemeteries. You know, several years ago, I know Beck Brothers, I think it was Beck, or it was actually Mr. Green, Lindsey Green, went through and Beck Brothers, I think they both redid the water lines for so that grass could be watered throughout Glenwood Cemetery. And I know that a few years back again there was a spate of vandalism in the cemetery, and the community got together and really came together and helped clean up. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I have no doubt that your leadership in this regard will spur the additional support that you so desperately need. And if there's anything that we can do, please feel free to reach out to us individually. As far as any action or anything this morning, I'm not trying to speak on behalf of the commissioners. If the will moves them to make any type of motion, they can. But what I'd like to do is definitely look a little bit more into this and see what resources we need to provide, and more importantly, what resources maybe we can provide as opposed to whatever the minimum might be. But thank you so much for your presentation this morning. And I'm not trying to cut off the discussion, because I think this is a really
I don't want to
important
waste your time
issue.
either. I only wanted to talk for like 5 or 6 minutes, but I'm a little bit passionate about this subject. The thing that I would like to say is Friday, we'll be there from 9 to 1. If anybody wants to come, and I'll show you, we can walk over there, you can see, and you can see our work. And at any time I work, I'm headed to Corpus now. But my significant other, Jerry Gray, would also be more than happy to meet you at the cemetery if anybody wants to go over there on a different date and time. We'd love to do that. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to come speak this morning. I appreciate y'all.
And thank you, Mr.
And I'm
Chairman.
gonna speak myself.
Before you leave,
Yes,
we do have you trained, and I don't know how many people may be watching this morning, but it is then out on YouTube for all eternity. Is there you want to repeat the contact information if there is somebody that's interested in participating or getting others involved?
certainly on Facebook, we're Friends of Glenwood Cemetery. You can follow on that page, and the events are put there and shared. My name is Donna Richmond, 361-834-7484, or you can message me on Facebook, and I'd be more than happy to visit with anyone. Our first work day, if I can go ahead, our next work day is Friday, the 18th. We did it on spring break because some of the kids from the high school are gonna come and earn some hours for their Barnhart Scholarship. So that's from 9 to 1 this coming Friday. We'd love to have anybody come and help us.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I
Richmond.
appreciate your time.
Before you run, is there any other questions?
No, but I have some information.
Oh, please.
But not, she can,
If you need to go, you can. I
Oh,
know
it's
you've got-
okay. If you.
I would like to talk about the county cemetery, Evergreen
Oh,
Cemetery.
Yeah.
When I first got on Commissioner's Court, we were getting complaints about an overgrown cemetery. I did some research and found out it belonged to B County.
Mhm.
And, the Commissioner's Court was not aware of it, so we started cleaning it up. Our maintenance crew has done a fantastic job. It was badly overgrown. It's the founder cemetery.
Mhm.
And I want to read a few passages out of the, information that came from the, St. Joseph's. Evergreen Cemetery, close to St. Joseph's Church, was being used as a burial ground in 1862 when Commissioner's Court bought it for a county graveyard. Okay, let's fast forward, and some interesting information in here about who's buried there. They said it didn't matter your religious belief, your color of your skin, everyone was buried there. Didn't matter, except for one person. And I will read this, just like it said. The only exception was when, according to Ms. Zeta Reese, mother of Stafford Reese, the body of James Edward Singleton, the young B Countyan hanged for murder in April 27, 1877, was exhumed by order of the Commissioners Court and reinterred in the southwest corner, quote unquote, away from law-abiding citizens.
I love that history of our
Interesting
cemetery.
tidbit.
I love it. Wow.
So he was moved from everyone else because they were law-abiding, and he was legally hanged, so he was moved.
And they exist.
Exhumed and moved. So with that, I will give it back to you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. I love that.
Thank you,
Again,
Ms. Ray.
thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
And if you would, we keep talking about a pauper's burial, and I did some research on what is a pauper. And it says it's poor and indigent. Well, the law dictionary has additional information, basically talking about they live off of charity. One is extremely poor, a person who lives on charity, one living or eligible for public charity, a person with limited or no financial resources. And that's when they pass away, there's no one to take care of them. The county steps in and takes care of the burial or cremation. And that's something probably for different discussion as to what we want to do in the future, because that area is fairly limited and needs to be cleaned up. So
Yes, sir.
anyway, I will close my remarks.
Thank you, Commissioner DeWitt. Any further discussion, comments? Okay, moving on. Agenda item number 8, approved community development block grant, CDBG, Colonia Fund Construction Grant Agreement number CFC 21-0478 with the Texas Department of Agriculture for the Tynan Water Supply Corporation Water Treatment Plant Rehabilitation.
Move to approve the question.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner DeWitt?
I noticed the grant is right at $1 million, which is fantastic. They need all this, and there's $50,000 match.
Where in kind?
I don't know. It just says,
I didn't see that. I wondered that as well.
Yeah,
and that was my thought.
it says there's a match.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. Ms. Echedia, do you know, or Ms. Cantu?
Is it? We haven't talked about that 15 million. Is it from the county?
Yes.
Is there any match in that all?
50
Road and bridge?
50,000.
Is it
The
in
whole thing?
kind or materials, or is it dollars?
$1.
Okay.
Oh, you're good news there.
Is this something that we could use ARP funds for?
I'm not sure, but if we can definitely look into
It's
it.
infrastructure.
We can look into it.
Okay, I think that would be
One way or
good.
the other, maybe. or-
Yes, I think it's got to be done. I just,
I agree.
Live enforcement.
regardless, we have to do the project.
Yes. I can look into that, and, I would think that this is due next fiscal year. Next fiscal year would be about the time our match would be due, or is it gonna be
Yes,
this fiscal
probably.
year?
I think that the project concludes in 2024.
Okay.
I think that's good.
I can definitely ask Angela.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
and then we can, we'll budget appropriately.
yes, ma'am. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 9, approve. What's that?
9:30.
Oh, thank you. It is 9:30, so we're going to move agenda item number 17, next. Public hearing, I'm gonna call agenda item number 17 at this time. Public hearing pursuant to Texas Transportation Code, Chapter 251.154, entitled Maximum Reasonable and Prudent Speeds on County Roads, to consider setting a speed limit of 30 miles per hour on Hidden Acres in Beeville, Texas, and allocation of costs thereof. Subpart A, public hearing in regards to setting a speed limit of 30 miles per hour on Hidden Acres in Beeville, Texas. Open parent 9:30 a.m., closed parent. Subpart B, action on allocation of funds and costs thereof. The time is 9:32 a.m. I am going to open a public hearing in regards to setting a speed limit of 30 miles per hour on Hidden Acres in Beeville, Texas. Are there any members of the public who would like to address Commissioners Court with respect to this proposed poll? Timing is everything.
Everything.
Go ahead, Commissioner Pettis, you have the floor. You could have just said something.
I know.
Is there anybody that would like to? Sorry
We
about
just-
that. That's okay, that was pretty funny, Commissioner. Going once, going twice. There's, no one interested in making public comment? Okay, thank you. I'd entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Public hearing is closed. Moving on, Subpart B, action on allocation of funds and costs thereof.
Judge, would you wish I can make a motion that we post a sign of 30 miles per hour on Hidden Acres? And I believe Road and Bridge already has these signs, so there is no cost at this time to the county.
Excellent. Have a motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Is there anything further that needs to come before Commissioners Court on agenda item number 17? Okay, moving on, we'll go back to agenda item number 9. Approve granting the B County Judge authority to execute the construction contract for the Texas CDBG number 7220019 B County Pettis Municipal Utility District Water System Improvement Project. That is quite a mouthful of words.
It was, quite lengthy in our packet, and I will move to approve. It's $194,155. It's for a 20-foot in diameter by 80-foot tall water storage standpipe, which is the main water supply for Pettis, Texas. About 1 million gallons this thing holds.
Excellent. I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 10, approve Pettis Independent School District ISD resolution requesting distribution of funds from the permanent school fund.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
The amount is $2,774.36.
Any further discussion? Besides that, hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 11, approve Beeville ISD resolution requesting distribution of funds from the permanent school fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The amount of the ISD is $22,750.37.
Thank you, Ms. Cantu. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 12, approve Skidmore-Tynan ISD resolution requesting distribution of funds from the permanent school fund.
Move to approve. Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
The amount for Skidmore is $6,137.60.
Thank you, Ms. Cantu. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 13, approve Expo request for auditorium fee waiver from the Boys and Girls Club of Beeville for their casino night event on June 4th, 2022. Now, we have Mr. Rodriguez here this morning. I don't mean to be rude. I don't believe we have anybody from the Beeville Boys and Girls Club here this morning. Good. Mr. Rodriguez, do you have anything you'd like to share with respect to this request?
No, Judge, just that the date is available. We've confirmed that. We do have a deposit on file for this entity. This is a great group of kids. This is their chance to do their annual fundraiser. We do work with them yearly, and I would recommend that we go ahead and approve the usage of the facility with maintenance.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Move to approve.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second based on the recommendation of Mr. Rodriguez. Waive the fee, but retain the, maintenance cost.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Motion and second. Any further discussion? It is a great event. Hopefully there'll be a good turnout. If you're out there wondering, what you might, want to do on June 4th, 2022, go support the youth of B County. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 14, approve and accept submission of Karankawa Wind LLC annual certification of compliance from Avangrid Renewables pursuant to section 5.01 of the B County Tax Abatement Agreement.
Judge, I'll make a motion not to approve this, and I'll explain in just a second.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I've got multiple seconds. I'll take Lenny. Sorry, Commissioner Pettis.
I have a concern. They are supposed to create so many jobs filled locally. It says they have, and it says number of jobs created, maintained, they say 13. They're out of Minnesota. Their payroll is $469,000, and they don't say where those jobs are, and I want to know where they are. Are they in B County? They say they have, and I have a doubt.
Okay,
That's the reason I'm saying no. And if the court disagrees, I'll withdraw it. But I just,
I have no problem with
it's
that.
just a piece of paper that says permanent position, number of jobs 13, minimum 3 jobs filled by local residents, says yes. And of course, down at the bottom, it says, per the tax abatement agreement, local residents are those residing in San Pat, B, Live Oak, Jim Wells, Nueces, Gregory, or Aransas County, but I wanna know where they are. I think the court deserves to know, since we granted them a sizable tax abatement way back when.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Commissioner DeWitt.
Thank you,
Your
gentlemen.
point is well made.
Appreciate it.
Agenda item number 15, approve possible submission of letter of concern or resolution opposing San Miguel Electric Cooperative, Inc.'s application to the Railroad Commission of Texas for surface mining permit. Long and short of this, McMullen County reached out to B County. They are opposed to San Miguel Electric Cooperative, Inc.'s application. This surface mining is close to one of the tributaries that feeds Choke Canyon. Their concern is that their mining activities could cause environmental damage to Choke Canyon. Choke Canyon is the primary water source for McMullen County. Choke Canyon feeds Lake Corpus Christi. In between Choke Canyon and Lake Corpus Christi is the city of Beeville's water intake pipe. So all of our water also comes from Choke Canyon, not from Lake Mathis, which is a little bit downstream of where our intake pipe is. Judge Teal has asked that we consider opposing this application as well. The packet that's contains their proposed resolution. If the will of this court is to oppose this application as well, I would contemplate that we would draft a resolution similar in form to the one that McMullen County Commissioners Court approved. So that's it. I'd open it up for discussion.
Discussion, if you would. I have some experience with lignite mining. When I was a superintendent at Fairfield Lake, Big Brown Power Plant used lignite to run their power plant. It was near the park. They were good neighbors with us. The way this works, and one thing in the resolution that I'm going to talk about, let's say that Mr. Pettis owns 100 acres and they want to lease it for lignite mining. They come and drill on his acreage and see how deep that coal zone is. Then they pay him, this is the way it worked up there and it's probably the same way there, they pay him a check for that amount. He can live on that property, he can use that property until they mine it. When they get ready to mine it, he has to move off, because what they do, they call it removing the overburden. They take all the dirt off of the coal, put it to the side. The equipment they use is huge. The dump trucks, you could fit 4 or 5 pickups in the back of a dump truck side by side that they move this coal in. The cranes that they use move themselves just very slowly along the ditch. They take the coal out, then they put the overburden back. They put whatever trash or whatever, and they take the materials that are left over after they burn the coal, put it back in the pits, put the overburden back, then they plant coastal and reclaim it, if you will. It's a pretty efficient operation, but yes, it does disrupt the eco zones. It could create problems in a creek. This was near the San Antonio River up at Fairfield. It has since closed. They've decommissioned the power plant. They've closed all the pits, but it's just information for everyone that they are fairly environmentally conscious. The only thing and it talked about the landowners didn't want to do this in the resolution, unless they're not being paid like they were at Fairfield. They're making money because they don't have to lease it, but they go in and on the property and they drill all over the property and see how deep the coal zone is. Then they pay that landowner. And what we used to see at Fairfield, this is kind of interesting. This was years ago. You would see these old ranchers that were used to drive around this old beat up Ford or beat up Chevy or beat up Dodge pickup. As soon as they got their check, they went and bought a new black Cadillac. And they hauled hay in the trunk. They put 2 bales like this in the trunk, put the trunk down, and one on top of the trunk. It was the most humorous thing you've ever seen, because we could always tell when these ranchers and farmers got their checks, because they went and bought a new, I guess they said, if I ever get any money, I'm going to buy a Cadillac. They did. And that's when Cadillacs were long, and they had 2 stuffed in the trunk and one on the tailgate, one on the trunk. So it was interesting to say the least. And I'll give it back to the court now.
I appreciate it, Commissioner, and there's many components in what McMullen County did that are irrelevant for B County purposes. Our focus would only be on, preservation of the quality of the water.
And they have supported us in the past, Judge,
Yes,
numerous
sir.
times of resolution, so I would make a motion to approve the resolution.
Okay.
I just wanted to give that as information.
We still
Oh,
don't create.
yeah, no, and I was gonna follow on and say, I agree with you, but I do see how it's kind of weird, how do we have private property owners that are opposed to it, unless they haven't leased.
Exactly,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, so, but yeah, with respect to the limited purpose of opposing the application because of concern of, water quality that's been expressed from McMullen County and our own knowledge and experience and understanding of surface lignite mining, I think it's I too think it's a good idea, but we do have a motion to approve a resolution. I guess that's one that I'll draft, and submit to y'all for approval after the fact. Is that okay? That's fine. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Second. I'll second. I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. I'll have that up today. Thank you, Chairman. Agenda item number 16, accept submission of the North B County Emergency Services District Number 2 Notice of Newly Elected Directors.
Move to approve the, notices in front of you with the, new directors, the president, treasurer, secretary, and 2 members.
And, I've got a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Aye.
Let's go.
Well, you said you had further.
Further discussion, no discussion on that.
I'd like to thank these individuals for their, commitment to, their respective community, and wish them the best on their terms.
We might note that, Louis Smith is the, president, Lois Beatty is the treasurer, Francis Moses is the secretary, John Giesler is the, member, and Timothy Cantu is also a member. So thank y'all very much for your service.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. We have, considered agenda items number 17 and number 18 earlier in the agenda, so we'll jump down to agenda item number 19. Approved request to use county debit card for registration of the County Auditors Institute 2022 Conference for Auditors Department.
Move to approve.
Second. I've got a motion and a second. Mrs. Clancy, this seems pretty much housekeeping, so hopefully the, conference is a good one.
Yes, thank you.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 20, approved resolution authorizing submission of application for the Homeland Security Grant Program Operation Stone Garden OPSG 21.
Move to approve.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second from Commissioner Farias. He was faster this time. Commissioner Lenny, my apologies to you. It was a good effort. All those, any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 21, approved memorandum of understanding between B County and the Texas Department of Public Safety for radios under the Lone Star Grant.
Move to approve. Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Well done, Commissioner Lenny. You got in this time. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 22, approve and accept submission of the B County Sheriff's Office racial profiling report. We do have a copy of the report, but I didn't know Sheriff or Chief Deputy if y'all wanted to, or Lieutenant Franco, if any of y'all wanted to make a presentation this morning to the court on this report.
No, this is just housekeeping. This is what we submit to DPS, so that's all it is.
Okay,
It's the same as.
it was similar, but last court they don't, the DA's office, I think it was the DA's office, they don't actually
Theirs was very
conduct stops, so Sheriff's Office.
Oh, okay, and it's very detailed.
It is detailed. Thank you for providing it to us. Do the commissioners have any questions about any of the, everything approved? Looks good. I've got a motion to approve and a second from Commissioner Farias. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 23, American Rescue Plan, ARP status and projects. Do we have anything to
Yes, sir.
discuss?
Okay, more
Commissioner
good news, Judge. More good
All right.
news. It's always good news. When we're dealing with money and it's coming to us, not leaving us. The first thing I'd like to mention is that when we first set up the essential worker pay, we moved very quickly, and there were a few that were disqualified for various reasons. That has been overturned now. Our initial information was correct that we had. The county is being reimbursed for that amount, so that's a good thing. It was a little over $15,000. It's coming back to us, so our first blush was correct when we looked at the essential workers, and that money has come back. We also have good news about our lost revenue, and I'll read what it says in the county will take advantage of a standard allowance provision as detailed in ARPA final rule, which allows us to declare all dollars as lost revenue. This provides us with greater flexibility in our expenditures, reduces some of the depth of our reporting. So that's good news, Judge, as far as I'm concerned. It's gonna make it easier on the auditor's office. We're not sure exactly how much is coming back, but it's gonna be substantial. Madam Auditor, do you have anything else you'd like to bring before the court on the ARP committee?
No. As far as lost revenue, I know they say, you know, that the reporting's different and that it's a little bit more flexible. I don't see it like that. I see it as projects. We're gonna continue to make projects out of all the, all the money that we have, as far as I'm concerned. It just organizes it and just makes it easier to account for it and for our files and our bookkeeping that we do in the auditor's office for grants. So it's business as usual as far as I'm concerned.
Lots of steps to it. It really is. Is there a timeframe when Commissioners Court needs to formally accept all the?
Yes, sir, except, but we
No,
wanna get the
we're
amount and everything. We'll bring it to the
Oh,
court.
yeah, no,
And-
we're still good.
We're fine. Ms. Gracie, do you have anything that you'd like to add, ma'am, that's going on that we may have talked about?
No, just that right now, the, RFP for the laptop, for the sheriff's laptop is out right now, and accepting bids through the 28th of this. And we're working on another RFP for the EOC truck. That's next.
And Commissioner Lenny, Vice Chair, sir, do you have anything?
Good.
One thing I would like to add, and maybe Mr. Willow can update us on this, I know that, we've hired an engineer to help design the EOC building.
Correct.
And I think y'all are gonna meet or have met with them. Would you give? 17th? Okay, gonna meet on the 17th.
And Expo projects. Mercer Engineering will help us with Expo projects also.
Okay.
But, the 17th, they're gonna meet out at, Jefferson.
Okay, great. So, Judge, I guess the wheels of government turn slowly, but they move,
That's good.
and they're moving forward.
Well, I guess, with respect to the accepting all the funds as, lost revenue, that doesn't, I guess it doesn't alleviate our obligation of still going out for bid on items that otherwise would be available on our buy board.
It does not alleviate.
We still have
No,
to
it says
follow.
it might be unrestricted, but you still gotta jump
You
all.
still gotta go
over.
through it.
If it's still the
Okay.
200 CRF,
Right.
we have to,
Still have to follow.
follow.
That's what
So,
we're doing with the lift station, over there, we're just one step, and then we're going backwards now, and starting back all over.
And I think we'll have a meeting after the meeting with the the committee, and we'll see if there's something that's coming. So, Judge, with that, I will pass this.
Thank you for your update. Anything further? Any other questions, discussion matters, items?
I do want to say that, me and Grace will be talking with Angela on Wednesday morning, because I do want to discuss with her, some of the lost revenue. I've been looking at for our fees and fines in our, in the general fund and, our special funds, that have lost out in revenue, because that's some of the monies I'd like to put back into those particular funds. So she's gonna help us navigate those waters, and then I'll bring that to the committee.
Excellent.
And one other thing, if I could, the court asked that we take a look at the fire departments. The committee has asked Angela to see what we could do and how we could do it. We've come up with some formulas, but we are definitely looking at, monies to all the volunteer fire departments in B County. That's on the table. Nothing's finalized yet, we're still working on logistics.
Thanks to the committee for continuing to diligently work through this windfall. Anything further on agenda item number 23?
Thank you, sir.
Moving on, agenda item number 4, update, discussion, and possible action regarding B County COVID-19 status preparedness and contingency planning. Mr. Willow, hopefully you've got good news for us.
Well, good news. Just like COVID kills the flu, Putin kills COVID. There's very little reported on it. At the present time, we have 3 new COVID cases over the weekend. The hospital has 4 patients, all B County residents in the hospital, none of them are on ventilators. And fatalities jumped up again, so we lost 14 residents of B County this year so far. So,
And the reporting still lagging back because of the home test.
oh, sure, yeah, nobody, if somebody actually calls in that has negatives to the number they're supposed to call in, God bless them. If not, we never know.
Are we still, do we still have a contractor coming in and providing testing?
Yes, we do, and I don't know how long that's gonna last. At the present time, it's Wednesday and Friday.
What are their numbers at?
One day it might be 15, the next day it's 45.
Okay.
And I think it's because the college is utilizing them
Oh, for their sports
for
teams?
their sports program, so. But that's all I have, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Willow. Anything further, any other discussion, comments, questions? Hearing none, we'll move on from agenda item number 24. There is no executive session, so we'll move on to agenda item number 25, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I don't know, yeah, Commissioner Haggard's there, we'll just have to wait till he shows up.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, Mr. Padilla, bit the bullet. I've got a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes without exception. We are adjourned. Thank you all for your presence today. Thank you for your time this morning.